Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Guest tonight is Mr. Shola Oshunkeye. Mr. Oshunkeye in 2006 won the award of the CNN African Journalist of the Year. He's currently the President and Chief Executive Officer of Crest Publishing and Entertainment Company Limited, former MD CEO of the Sun Publishing Ghana Limited, former editor of The Spectator, former editor of Weekend Concord, former associate editor of Tel magazine. He attended Ilesha Grammar School and Methodist High School, both in Ilesha. He was also at the University of Lagos as well as the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Of course, he's happily married, and he's happily married to Mrs. Funsho Oshunkeye, and the union is blessed with wonderful children. So once again, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Azuh. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right. Now, what are the attributes of a good journalist?
Wow. Attributes of a good journalist. First and foremost is you have to be rugged to be a journalist. You have to also have a high degree of perseverance. You have to be honest. Honesty is key to everything you're going to do, because every day of your life you wake up and you are constantly in the pursuit of truth. You are constantly pursuing those things that people struggle every second to hide. And he said that whoever is coming to equity must do so with clean hands. You cannot be pursuing this truth and your hands are filthy. So, which means as much as possible, you have to be honest at all times, and you must be truthful to yourself. You must be truthful to the profession. You must be truthful to country and to humanity. Of course, you have to be curious, because where 2 or 3 people are gathered, in their midst there'll be news. And our gospel is, you seek ye first the kingdom of God. I mean the kingdom of news, and every other thing shall be added unto you. So you must be curious. If you see 3 or 4 people, 5, 6 gathering together, you must know that there must be something of common interest that has compelled them to make them to abandon whatever they are doing to focus on whatever it is that has brought them together.
Wow.
We can go on and on, you know.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
So what are the attributes of a good story?
A good story must be compelling. It should be told in a way that one is clearly easy to understand. Your language must not be high-sounding. Keep it as simple as possible. Then keep it as engaging as possible. And that starts with your first line. If you lose, as in case of newspaper journalism, if you lose your reader at the first paragraph, it's not likely you get him back. So it's very important from the first line. You must aim at the heart and soul of the reader, which means you have to it has to, your intro must be very powerful to keep them interested till they read the last word is very, very important. Two, a good story must answer as much as possible the curiosity of your reader or the consumer of your media products. It must not be, the language must not be ambiguous. You must not keep your reader or listener or viewer asking, so what next? He hasn't told us where this happened and all that. You must be able to answer all those questions as to who is involved, where it is, what it is, why the 5 W's and H,
All right. All right. Now, so what
But
are the
of
attributes?
course, it also has to also be able to be accountable to whoever is consuming it, to be able to be truthful to whoever is consuming it, so that at the end of the day, your credibility is not eroded. It's very important.
Wow. Thank you. So, what are the attributes of a good magazine?
Am I an expert, Azuh? Yeah, I'm still learning. I'm a rookie reporter, but I'll try
We
as much
know.
as possible. I'll try to answer the question. I think the attributes of a good magazine is not totally different to what the attributes of what a good story should be. The magazine. I mean, clearly magazines go the extra mile to tell the unknown. They dig for that where, what happens is that, for instance, newspapers, dailies, for instance, they break the story, catch headline, tell the story in a hurry and all that. So it's a function as a magazine journalist to now go behind the scene and to dig deeper into the story that has just been broken. In other words, you keep the story alive by bringing in extra angles. Those angles are time and space and speed of production may not allow the people in the regular newspaper. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Of course, because of the time that's available to the magazine people, you have time, like I said, to dig deeper, which means your investigation is in depth. You are able to answer all questions and set an agenda. Set the public talking about the issue until their curiosity is satisfied.
What are the attributes of a good interview?
Ha. Okay. I'll try. To me, a good interview, again, for me, I try to use the conversational style. I won't come to you and, excuse me, sir, can we know you? If somebody comes to me and you interview me and you say, can we know you, please? I think that should end the interview effectively, because before you leave your office, before you leave your home, you must have said you are going to meet Shola Oshunkeye or Azuh Arinze, and there must be a particular subject of interest in you that you want answered. So why should you then come and you are starting your interview with, may we know you, please? To me, that is no. Because it is expected that you must have done your research. You must have defined your focus. You must have had the questions, both soft and hard, that you are going to ask before coming to me. Do you understand? So it's not quite different when you are when you are doing how do I call it now? Your feature story, for instance, because to try as much as possible to explore all angles. I want to know who Azuh is. Through my questions, not asking you directly to tell me. In the course of the question, I will discover you. I will know what dragged you into journalism. Why not in the paparazzi world of entertainment, where you can easily be any billions, or in law, where you become a son and all the politicians are running after you, with the millions and if not billions, and all that. But you have chosen the very hard and narrow road of journalism, because my brother, like you and I know, is a very difficult terrain, and the road is so narrow, very narrow, slippery, turning sometimes.
It is. All right. So, what are the attributes of a good columnist?
Number one, I may not be able to effectively answer that because one, I'm not a good columnist. I'm learning, but from the little knowledge I've gathered in column writing, I think you want to be as current as possible. If an issue happens this week, you don't want to wait for 2-3 weeks before you address it, because people want questions answered. People want to raise fresh issues and all that, and then from your perspective as a columnist, you try also to answer those elements. So you don't wait. Time is of the essence. Timeliness is of the essence. Freshness of the issue is of the essence. Of course, public interest, which people define in different and diverse ways, is also of the of the essence. It's very important to keep the interest of your readers, of your fans, your loyal fans, in focus in whatever you write. You keep your language simple as possible. Column writing permits you to be expressive. You have some liberty to language and all that, but you must stay focused throughout whatever you are writing, and push your message as hard as possible and in a way that is clearly understood, will not be misunderstood, so that the issue of, I didn't say this or it was in this context, will not arise.
Interesting. Now, to write very well, what must one do?
To write very well?
Yes, to be a good
writer. What do?
Yeah.
But the way we were taught, you must read, and read very vast. Read anything readable. In journalism, no book is totally useless. No matter how terrible a book is, you must have something. So you read very well to be abreast of issues. You must be on top of issues. To write very well, of course, you must have language. Of course, also, you must be curious. I keep repeating this word. I hope I'm not sounding like a broken record. But of course, they say curiosity kills the cat. But it does not kill the cats of journalism. Actually, curiosity is the oxygen that feeds journalism and feeds journalists. So you have to be curious, and of course, you must have language. You must have language, because if you have a good story that is badly written, and nobody will read you. You must be as precise, as concise as possible. You shouldn't be verbose. Information that are not necessary, that can amount to padding, should really not be allowed in your story writing, your storytelling. You tell it as simple as possible, bringing in all the components of a good story. To push your message to your readers in a very simple, straightforward, concise way.
All right. Now, to have a taste of success in journalism, what must one do?
More be focused. Then, wherever I've been invited to talk about journalism and the question is raised, I often tell them that, especially students in schools of communication, mass communication, and journalism, I tell them, if your interest is you want to come to journalism to make money, I'm sorry to tell you that you don't miss road. That doesn't mean that we have signed a note or covenant with poverty. No. Like I said earlier, I said, seek ye first the kingdom of news, and every other thing shall be added unto you. Do
All
your
right.
job very well. If you want to come into journalism, you do not chase money. You do not chase money. You should be driven by public interest. You should be driven by service to your country, to humanity. Those should be your motivation. Those will be your thing. Those will be the things that will give you a push. But if you have an issue come into it and say, "Okay, I want to make money," sorry, you will crash out. Just like garbage in, garbage out. You just as you enter, so you shall leave.
Go
But
out.
if you do your job very well, if you do your job very well, you are professional, you are truthful, you are honest, you are committed. God will open ways for you, and every other thing shall be added unto you. Nobody will see Azuh, Arinze, and will call you a wretched press boy. You are not a press boy. You paid your dues, and because you've been truthful to your calling as a journalist, God has started other things
That's true,
unto
sir.
you without you soiling the name of your family and the God that people know you with. So to me, that is very important.
All right. Now, to continue to be relevant, especially, well, to continue to be relevant, what must today's journalists do?
Number one, we mentioned we spoke a while ago about reading. You must read very well. Then, of course, you must develop yourself because social media, or let me say technology, has actually changed the face, the nature, the structure of journalism. So if you are not uh, if you are not technologically savvy, you may be left behind. For instance, here we are. In those days, I will have to fly to wherever you are or travel kilometers to have this conversation. But here we are, wherever you are, I don't know whether you are in Abuja, and I'm in
Lagos.
Lagos, and here we are live interview, you know, like as if we're in a studio. It is technology. If either of us does not know anything about uh, Instagram, or well, you are not conversant with what obtains on the internet. I'm sorry, this will not be holding. So you have to really develop yourself. You must keep with today's challenges, keep up with today's challenges. Technology is very key. Your mastery of technology. Of course, I spoke about reading and reading. Being as professional as possible, and also don't join the Joneses. I've had it said several times that in Nigeria that if you want to read or if you want to know what the papers are saying, unlike in those days not too long ago, where you really desire to have as many papers as possible. But today it is said that once you pick a newspaper, you have read all. I think that is, yeah, I think that is tragic. In fact, a senior colleague, one of the people we look up to in this profession, once told me that when you see stories and the way they are treated, it appears as if somebody gets the story, then sits in his office, writes the story, then gives to his colleagues in other media organizations. To me, that is the height of it. It's tragic. It shouldn't be so. Each paper should stick with its identity and give to its readers what may not necessarily be found in other newspapers, and you can do that by sticking to the principle of exclusivity. Go after exclusive stories.
All
Go after
right.
exclusive stories, humanize your stories, good packaging. You take some papers today, you can count on the front page, one page alone, you are counting 10 stories. The whole page is so clustered, you don't even know. Whereas in those days, it is one dominant story that most people will use. one dominant story, well packaged, beautiful, imposing photograph, and screaming headlines, and you are good to go. And the readers will lap up your product. But today, the case is sadly, very sadly different. And I think we have to change that narrative, to stay afloat. So in the ever shrinking market of super giants.
Wow. So what mistakes must a journalist, flee from?
What mistakes?
Yeah. Must a journalist flee from?
Oh. Ethical mistakes.
Okay.
Well, yes, that is also the issue. The principle of truth, sticking to the truth at all times. Then your conscience. You have to be truthful to your conscience. Some people, especially politicians, believe that nobody in this industry that cannot be bought, and I disagree. There are still many sound professionals out there who you cannot even flaunt anything or dangle any carrot before. I will tell you to go to blazes. They'll do their job and go to hell. Pardon my language, please. So you must stick to your conscience. Do what is right. Don't dip your hand into things that will compromise truth, that will compromise your integrity, that will compromise your medium, your product, that will compromise your organization. Because this thing is like a bank account, your integrity. If you perform an act today, an unethical act today, people discover it, you say sorry. Tomorrow you do another one. It's like a bank account. The more you withdraw from your account, the less balance you have, isn't it?
It is.
If you don't want to replenish, yes. So I think it behoves on everybody to strive as much as possible to keep it clean, as clean as possible. Although there are no angels on this planet, but because of the peculiarity of our calling, we have no choice but to keep it clean and honest at all times.
So what is your candid assessment of Nigeria's media industry?
Nigeria's media industry, like most sectors in the economy and in the country, I'm not sure we are having the best of times. The market for media products is shrinking every day, and the challenges are rising. Challenges of revenue, shrinking revenue, challenge of getting quality products. Because, for instance, if you are doing investigative stories and you do not have enough funds to deploy reporters to the field to get you as many angles as would be necessary to have a good report. To have a good report, it could be very challenging. I remember in those days in Tel, on a single story, we could deploy as many as 10 journalists across the country. Trust me, Azuh, it was that big. Now, how many media houses can deploy 5 journalists on a single story today? The resources are not even there. To pay salary, not to talk of sourcing stories. So, and it's reflecting in the quality of reportage and the product that we push out, unfortunately. So a big challenge there. And investors, there are not too many investors out there who are so enthusiastic to bring their money to invest in media houses. Unfortunately, too, very few investors. So we have to be creative, in keeping our practice, our organization, and our practice afloat.
Wow. Joseph.
Then also the challenge of getting quality manpower. the quality of manpower in the industry is shrinking by the day. And I don't know whether it will be cheap to tie it to the inability of organizations to have the necessary financial muscle to go after quality manpower. I don't know. But the problem is there, ever present.
Wow, wow. Now, you made your name as a human interest and futures reporter. What is your take on the current state of those two sectors, or that sector in the media industry today?
Azuh, you are putting me on the cross. You want to hang me. You are hanging me. You are putting me on the cross. Because if we have to discuss some of these issues, especially the one you have just mentioned now, future writing, the art of the future in industry, I will sound so critical that I may at some point be unfair. Be unfair to our colleagues, but I don't know. I really don't know, but maybe you just allow me to say we are trying within the limits of the resources available to us, but the standards are falling by the day, and we have to do something extra to shore it up, so that we don't lose it all. It's very important.
All right.